Good morning, beautiful friends. Today, I have some random thoughts, and I actually woke up this morning and thought, I'm not really thinking about anything because we have the ladies' retreat this weekend, and the the pre-sale of my book launches tomorrow, and that's kind of like where my brain's been at lately, and work has been busy, so I've been focused on that and lots of like these little tasks that I have to do. So I haven't really been like thinking about things and pondering on things. It's really more about like planning and getting things done. But as I was working on some stuff this morning, I did actually get a thought. So I was like, let me just jump on. Let me preface this with I have not thought about this. I have not processed it. Like, this is a conversation. So I'm going to talk out loud about this, and you guys are going to watch how my brain kind of works as I process this, okay? So there's two camps on this whole judgment thing, okay? On judging others, right? There's some who say do not judge, and there's verses in the Bible that actually tell us don't, not to judge. There's verses, okay, singular verses that tell us not to judge, like in Matthew 7, and I think the other one's like in Luke, and there's other places, right? But then there's another camp of people who say the Bible tells us that we should discern, and we should judge by their fruits and all this stuff, right? So then the question becomes to judge or not to judge, because if you read the Bible holistically, it's kind of it's there twice, and it's saying things that seem to be opposing in thought, right? So that causes me to question things. What is happening? What is going on? Why is the Bible telling us to judge in one place, telling us to judge not to judge in one place, telling us to judge in another place? Like, what is happening? So one of the things, kind of funny actually, I don't have it here. I think it's in my it's in my backpack. So let me yes, it's in my backpack. Okay, so before I show you, guys, I absolutely love this backpack. Okay, love it, love it. It's like my little messenger bag. So I carry all my books and my journal and stuff. Okay, so as I'm diving in deeper into some of the concepts that I have in the book, one of the things that I've started to learn about is actually God as judge, because God is love. That's his essence. Everything that God does comes from him being love. Okay. So even his judgments and his wrath and his discipline, all of that, all of it comes out of his love. But I can't deny that the scriptures also say that God is judge. He's a judge. He was judge of Israel, and the Bible had tons and tons of scriptures are how God is our judge, right? So I wanted to understand more. What exactly does that mean? Now, I knew a concept about judges in the Old Testament that I never really dove into. Really didn't feel like I had to at that time, because it made a whole lot of sense to me, and it it's just when you know God is love, there's certain things that's just kind of like, okay, I can grasp that. But when everyone around you doesn't grasp it, or most people don't grasp it because of our Western culture, you have to kind of like, this the way I am, right? I have to dive in and understand, because I don't want to be foolish, and I don't want to go and explain things that kind of talk out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, I like to be educated. So this concept was in the Old Testament, even in the book of Judges, when you look at what Judges is actually called, the a judge in Hebraic culture wasn't someone who would punish those who did wrong, basically, or broke the laws. They were the concept of judge, and God as judge is one who comes to make things right. Okay, so they're there to protect those who are weak, those who are less fortunate. They're really there to bring justice. Okay, and justice is not about punishing those who do wrong, it's about everyone living whole and complete. Okay, so that's kind of the concept. Again, I've not prepared. These are just random Thursday thoughts. So I'm just kind of talking through it. Okay, so got this book, God Loves Justice, started reading it, posted about it the other day. Absolutely love it so far. I like her writing style. She's very legit. Like you could tell that she put a lot of work into this. Although I don't think she's a theologian, she is a very educated person. And she wrote her book in a way that like a theologian would give credence to. So, for example, my book is not written that way. My book has theological thoughts and academic principles and concepts, but written in the everyday language. Okay. I didn't like, I do have references in there, but not like her. Like this girl's legit. Like she has tons of references in the back. It's really, really good stuff. But it's written in a way that's very easy to understand. So she kind of talks about these the concept of what judging, not judging, like what justice really is, and things like that. And she goes into details around like our Western culture and how we see judge. Like when we think of judge, we think of a judge behind a desk with a witness on the side, and he's there to determine if the person's guilty or innocent. That is not what judging was in the Old Testament. Okay. Judging was to make things right, to bring things whole. It could consist of giving a consequence to someone who's broken the law, but the objective was not to punish. The objective was to make right what was wrong. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Also, take note of my of my bookmark because I have so many hotel cards because we stay at hotels so often that I have so many. Like guys, look at this. Let me just show you real quick. This is my like study desk right now. Look at all the books. Like this is my mess. That's me getting ready for the retreat, and yeah, all my books. See, so I need lots of bookmarks. So the hotel cards like come in handy so I don't throw them out. Oops. Okay. All right. So there's that. So now that we have that concept, right, it leads me to, do we judge? Do we not judge? Now, the concept of who we are, who we're designed to be, we were designed in the image and likeness of God, right? So we were designed to look and be like God. So if God is judge, in essence, we're judge. But what does that mean? Again, this is not about going out and judging people and punishing them for what they've done wrong or to point fingers. No, it's about making things right. And as a whole, in Hebraic culture, everyone understands that justice is the responsibility of all. It's not just a responsibility of a judge, it's a responsibility of the whole, of all of society, of all of community. Okay. So you and I were created to be judges, not to punish or criticize others, but to make things right, to make things whole. Now, when we go into Matthew, the only thing I did prepare was I went into the Sermon on the Mount because it's actually part of my book, and I actually just read it the other day for the audiobook. So it was kind of also on the top of my mind because I knew it was in the Sermon on the Mount. So Matthew 7, it says, and this is the New Living Translation, do not judge others and you will not be judged. For you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is a standard by which you will be judged. So this is telling you not to judge. Why? Because of the wisdom behind what happens when you judge. When you judge others, okay, you will be judged according to your judgment. So if you judge someone, whatever standard you set for that person or however you judge that person, know that you will be judged that way. That is a natural consequence. That is kind of like a law. If you judge, you will be judged to that same degree. This is why with Jesus House and the ministries that I'm a part of, there is no public judgment or condemnation against any ministry or any fellow believer ever. Not publicly. Why? Because as easily as someone can create lies and distort someone's life, they can do the same thing to me. They can make YouTube videos about me. They could take things out of context so easily. And this is why I don't do it. unless you have a personal relationship with that person or you know them, you have no place to judge. These public figures, people like Bill Johnson, Steve Furtick, Jensen Franklin, anyone, Sean Foy, whoever it is, Torben Sondergaard, you have no right to judge them if you don't know them. And a lot of these videos are judging very harshly. And if we were to look at their lives, they'd have no place. Actually, as a matter of fact, verse 5 would come into play. Hypocrite. First, get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. And then it says, don't waste what's holy on people who are unholy. Don't throw your pearls to pigs. They'll trample the pearls, then turn and attack you. Why is this even there? Again, context is so important. Reading not the Beatitudes, because the Beatitudes is only a portion of the Sermon on the Mount. Reading all of the Sermon on the Mount is so, wow, it's so powerful, guys. It really is. Like Matthew 5-7, read it straight through without stopping. Red letters, Jesus's teachings. You'll see an underlying theme. This is part of my book. It's amazing, okay? Like really enlightening, and you'll receive revelation. But what it's saying here is this. Look at yourself. Look at yourself and make sure that you're not going to go and help or point out someone's issue if you have an issue yourself. Go fix your issue. Go deal with your stuff. And when you deal with your stuff, you know what's going to happen. And this is like my experience with this. When you deal with your stuff, you're going to be able to better help other people. And when I say help, I don't mean just point out their error, because our life and being a judge, being like God in that sense, is not about pointing out the error. It's about bringing the truth in. It's about bringing freedom. Okay. So when it says here, hypocrite, go get rid of the log of your own eye, go fix yourself first. When you read the Bible, when you listen to sermons, don't think about that person who needs to hear this. Think about yourself. Think about, how does this apply to me and how can I become a better person? And I'm telling you that when you change your life and you become a better person, you're going to know how to help that person, because you know what it took to bring you out of it. And you're going to have a lot more compassion for others. Now, just because you have changed your life and you did fix something and you see a speck in someone's eye, don't think that those people are going to listen to you. If you've gone through something and your life has been radically changed, like the love of God has radically changed my life, and I know how to receive it. I know what it takes to receive life transformation from the love of God. I know what it takes to kick fear out the door. But that doesn't mean that when I see it in someone else's life, that I'm going to have success in helping them. And this is where that verse 6 comes in. Don't waste what's holy on people who are unholy. Don't throw your pearls to pigs. They will trample the pearls and then turn and attack you. Why is this here? Like, if you read it, you're going to look at this and be like, why in the world is this here? It makes no sense. It's so out of place, but it's not. Because what it's telling you is this: go get rid of the log in your own eye. Then you'll see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. But don't throw pearls before swine, because they may not know how to handle it. And then they're going to trample you, and then they're going to turn around and attack you. What is that saying? Just because you can now see the speck in someone's eye and you know how to help them pull out does not mean that you need to be giving them advice or throwing your pearls at them, because they may not be in a place to handle it. And then what's going to happen is they may turn around and turn against you, even though you're just trying to help. There needs to be wisdom when we go and help someone. This is why it's so important that we deal with the speck in our own eye first. Because I'm telling you from experience that when you do that, you're going to be in a much better position to help someone when you see the speck in their eye. And you're going to know and have the relationship with God and understanding and wisdom to know when to show them your pearls and when not to show them your pearls. Just because you know what can help someone doesn't mean that you should be giving someone advice. Doesn't mean they want advice, doesn't mean they'll accept advice. Remember, you can't force someone to listen. So know this. Okay, so now in these random thoughts that I was not planning, and I just talked through it a little bit with you guys, kind of in the end, what do I take from this? Judge or don't judge? There is a place for judgment. Okay, we are created in the image and likeness of God. God is judge, and like him, we are to judge. We are judge as well. But judge, okay, so I'm summarizing kind of what we've been talking about. So judge is not to punish those who did wrong. Judge is not to condemn. I think a lot of people judge, but they're not judging in the biblical sense. They're not judging in from the image and likeness of God. They're actually condemning, and they're using the word judge and they're using the word discern. Some people use the word discern, but they're actually judging, and not judging in the way that we were created to judge. They're judging from the Western concept. They're punishing what's wrong. They're criticizing, they're condemning, they're not judging. Judging from God's perspective is to make things right, it's to make things whole and make things complete. So when you go to judge something, just make sure that you are whole and complete, especially in that area, because as Jesus said, to the same degree that you judge is how you will be judged. This is a natural law. This is a spiritual law that was put into place. It's a consequence. So if you don't want people to judge you unfairly, then you need to make sure that you're not judging people unfairly. Again, to me, public condemnation, public judgment from the Western point of view is a huge no-no. I don't do it. If I don't agree with someone, trust me, you probably will never know unless I have a very deep relationship with you. Okay, so that's one. The caution in judging is be careful because you're going to be judged to the same degree that you judge. Now, the other concept is this: don't be a hypocrite. Okay, that's what Jesus was saying. Don't be a hypocrite, because don't go and point out a speck in your brother's eye when you have something in your eye. Go a speck in their eye. Actually says, don't go and point out a speck in someone else's eye when you have a whole plank coming out of your eye. Go deal with your plank, and then your eyesight will be better so you can go help the person and remove the speck from their eye. Okay, but then, so what is that saying? Go deal with yourself first. Trust me when I say that when you deal with yourself first, you're going to start having a lot more wisdom on how to help others. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't help others when you're dealing with stuff. That's not what I'm saying, because I actually think giving when you're going through stuff to some people, it really is a cup filler. Okay, but what I'm saying is refrain from judgment and just focus on yourself and focus on fixing yourself. And then lastly, even if you do work on getting that plank out of your eye, and you do work on it, right? And you've been delivered from it, or you're free from it, or whatever. You've learned so much from it and you know how to get freedom. And now you can look at your brother and say, I can help you get rid of that speck. Just make sure that you're not throwing that wisdom, those pearls, before swine. Because if they don't know how to handle it, they're going to trample it on it, and then they're going to turn around and they're going to despise you for it. Okay. So that's kind of like the little nuggets of treasure that we find in my little random Thursday thoughts today. Thinking about judging and what that means, and kind of some of the things that I have processed and thought about, but never like, I'm big into let's take a thought from start to finish. So I'm processing this whole concept. Clearly, I am, because I have this amazing book that I'm reading and doing lots of research, because all of the stuff that's in my book right now is really just layman's terms, taking some theological concepts and academic things and putting it in the language of everyone. It's not written in any sort of academic way. So a theologian probably would be like, you don't have enough references in your book, blah, 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 blah. That's not why I wrote the book, okay? The book is just, it's a journey. It's my journey. It's what we've gone through and what you're going to go through. And it's just leading you. It's kind of like, let's start on this together. And now I'm after, like, I have some time, I'm going to really, my next book is probably going to be a little bit more solid in terms of that stuff written like Jessica's book because she wrote it so well. But yeah, so those are my random Thursday thoughts for today. To judge or not to judge. That's really, it is the question, but that question, if if you've been with me through the video, that question is really has a lot of moving parts, much like a lot of things in Christianity. Not, it's very few things that are black and white. Like a lot of things, there's many things to consider. It's not simple. Like a conversation needs to be had, and we need to learn, and we need to dive deep. So one, be cautious when you judge. Make sure that you're not being a hypocrite. Make sure that you're working on yourself above everything. Make sure that when you are judging or discerning something, that you're not really condemning and punishing, because that's not what the Bible's telling us to do. When the Bible tells us to discern and to judge, it's not telling us to punish and to condemn. It's really telling us to make things right, to make things whole, to bring wholeness. Don't ever, like, this is something I try to do, and I'm going to make myself accountable to you guys. If I When I post things, when I share things, I try to never point out a wrong or say, here, this is what's wrong, or this is a wrong thought, or this is a wrong belief, or whatever. If I do, I really try to follow it up with what's right, or how to make it right, or what is the truth. Because I don't want to just point something out wrong. I don't want to just punish and condemn. I want to lead to what's right and make things whole. So I'm like publicly here to all of my social media followers and stuff. Like, if I ever make a post where I fail to make things right, and I fail to bring wholeness and completeness, where if I'm pointing out a wrong, I fail to show how to make it right, I want you guys to hold me accountable. Like, comment, it could be public, and say, hey, so where do I go from here? Or what's the road that leads to the opposite of what you just said? If I forget or I fail, because, sometimes I could forget or fail depending what's going on, or maybe I'm thinking I'm bringing concept of wholeness, but it's really not helpful, or really didn't, or it sounds kind of judgy and condemning. So there are times, you know what? I am going to judge things. I am going to condemn things, not people, but things. But I'm always going to I always try to lead to wholeness and completeness. And what's the road that leads to what's going to bring joy, peace, abundance, and love? What's going to bring wholeness in that situation? So I encourage you to try and live your life that way too, because, I really think that pointing out what's wrong isn't, there's a place for it. But when it's not followed up with truth and wholeness, and the path that leads to the opposite of whatever it is, I'm really like, it's a disservice. Like, what's the point of pointing out darkness? Let's shine the light, right? Let's shine the light and show people the way. So to judge or not to judge is really not the question in the end, right? It's really about, have I looked at myself? Am I okay with being judged to the same degree that I'm judging? That's number one. Number two, have I looked at myself, and am I working on myself? And number three, you can't force advice on people. You can't force people to change, even if you do know the truth. And not everyone is worthy of the wisdom. It's not that they're not worthy. Let me change that, because everyone is worthy of the wisdom that you have. Not everyone will know how to handle that wisdom. And sometimes it's not the moment or the time to place the pearls out there, because if you do, they're not going to know how to handle it. And then they may actually turn against you. So that's kind of the summary of what we've talked about. So I hope this helps. Like, what do you guys think? If you've been with me through this, okay, whether you're listening on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, my podcast, whatever, okay, I want to hear from you. What do you guys think? Does this make sense? Do you guys have any questions? Do we need to expand on this anymore? Is there anything else that you want me to explore? Does this spark any questions that you have that you want to ask? So comment below, message me. If you're on my podcast, you're always welcome to either comment or message me on my social media app, on the social media apps, or you can email me at hello@andreajohn.com. because I'd love to hear from you. Like, are you finding these things beneficial? Are you finding them helpful? And if you have a question that you want to explore, and maybe you're too afraid, like, you don't have to publicly ask. If you're too afraid to ask, or like it's something like way out there, or maybe you just want to know what I think about something, ask me. I have no qualms. I have no shame. I will address anything. If I'm really not sure, like today, I'm telling you, I'm just talking. I haven't really planned anything out. So, you know, let's explore. Let's explore together. This is what the journey is all about, doing it together, learning together. So I want to hear from you guys. And that's it. So have a wonderful Thursday. We're almost to the weekend. So tomorrow is the pre-sale of the journey. So that's going to be in Kindle version. The full launch is on November 23rd. So I'm so excited. So November 23rd, you're going to be able to get the Kindle. You're going to be able to get the copy of the book. And I'm hoping that the Audible is ready by then. But if not, it'll be ready like soon after that. So are you ready for the journey? Because it's going to be an adventure. And to be honest, hey, look, we're already started. So continue on this journey with me. Let's talk. I want to hear from you because I hate to just like be talking and not have feedback and hear from you guys. So Skip, I want to thank you for joining. Megan was here. Lincoln was here. Thank you so much for watching. And remember that if you're blessed by this, make sure to share it, because if it blessed you, it'll bless everyone else you know. So love you guys and have an awesome day. Bye.